G'day, welcome to the XL250 restoration. It's Sunday, I'm back at work tomorrow. Wife's at work, done all the chores, so I'm out here. Daughter's at work, so I've got some time. Now, before I start on this one, I want to talk about these shocks. Now, these are the new shocks we bought for the XL, and I mounted them that way. And a gentleman has sent me a message to say that's incorrect, they should be that way, and he sent me a photograph of a new, looked like a press release photo of a XL where they're mounted this way. Of course, that's an early bike, and the early ones were mounted like this. This is an XL250S, and they appear to be mounted like that. Now, these holes are the wrong size, or they're different sizes. This one's slightly bigger. That's a thinner sleeve in there, so it fits the top, where is it there, mount, a lot better than that. Well, that doesn't go. Now, I did linish these to fit inside the rebate in the, or the channel if you like, in the swing arm. I've got the old ones from the old shocks which I had plated, so if worse comes to worse we can take that out. It is a bit tough. This one slides out far more easily, and we can mount them like that. I think all day every day they look better that way. In fact, I would sooner do that. The rake on them is such that with the arm going up they're only going to come back further, so they shouldn't interfere with anything, but I think they'll fit. I'm not sure. They're meant to go this way. I'll just see what Dave wants to do. Now, on this one, we're going to do some small resto, a small bit of resto on a couple of articles. A very common comment that I receive is a beauty, and it's you've inspired me to continue with my project. Now, that's probably the biggest compliment you can give a guy. That's fantastic. Now, there's a couple of things with this. Now, over the past years, I've picked up a lot of unfinished projects. The XC was one of them. Picked up Tiranas, I've picked up all sorts of things that have been sort of begun but not finished. And it's very, very easy to lose your way with restoration work because it's big and a lot of it isn't fun. The fun stuff is the finished product or reassembling the thing. The bad stuff for me is doing body and paint because I really don't like doing it. And I don't view myself as particularly good at it. But when we get a project, we'll get it and then we'll have a mental picture of how we want it to look when it's finished. But it takes a lot to get to that. And there's a lot of really unfun stuff before you can get to the stage where the thing's looking good. Oh man, the phone. I might go and get the phone, just a minute. Apparently the spa guy's on his way. What was I saying? So yeah, it's really easy to lose your way. Everyone loses their way. I lost my way with the MG, getting the engine and everything out. I thought, how am I going to do this? I've worked myself into a corner, and it was only because Dave agreed to keep the car there and take the engine out for me that I can do this. And so now I feel really good about it, positive. But the important thing is to do bits and pieces at a time. And so, for example, you might have Holden 6, here we go. Holden 6-cylinder air cleaners are a great example. They're black. There's small round things with a snorkel on them. A lot of people rattle can them to make their engines look better. Over the years there's paint on top of paint which is on top of rust and they look terrible. If you've got an old Holden or an old Falcon or whatever, start on the air cleaner, just do that. Maybe the rocker cover as well, the valve cover if you like. Just do small bits and pieces. Bits like this, foot peg, that's all done, it's all finished. That can go on a shelf. It's going back on the bike soon, but whatever the case, bits like this can go back on a shelf and it gives you some sort of motivation, do you know what I mean, to finish the job instead of just a bunch of crap everywhere. Motorbikes, small bikes are probably better to start with, or cheap 90s cars. That's why I was going about Toyota Starlets. You can pick them up for $300. The doors on the XW, I never got the shut lines perfect because you can't, unless you're unless you're prepared to spend a heck of a lot of money at a panel beater or whatever. I didn't, I did it all myself, I did it as best I could. A little Toyota, for example, you bang the door on, it'll be gapped, the shut lines are perfect straight away. They're much easier to work on, things like that. You pick one up for $300, muck around with it, paint a bit on it, do this, do that, do some welding, and then you can sell it off when you're finished or send it off to the crushers. If it costs you $300 and you get 100 back, who cares? You've got $200 worth of experience. So in this video I'm going to start with a couple of articles I'll introduce you to now, and we'll fit them up to the bike, and with any luck we'll be really, really wrapped with the result. So hope you enjoy. Let's move this frame. Put on the floor nice and gently. There we go. So in this video we're going to restore a couple of articles. We've got the carburetor here, which doesn't look too bad at all, and we've got this air cleaner which looks awful, absolutely dreadful. The one that was off the good bike, so to speak, was painted, but it was painted over dirt. And you know what, I've got no faith in it. Although having said that, I think this snorkel part here is probably better than the one, if I can get that out, that is already on that dirty one. So I might just pull that off. It feels a little bit more supple, and it might be in better nick. It might be the way to go. I don't know. I'll check that out. So, but whatever the case, I'm not using that. That's been, I think I mentioned before, painted. Can I get a reflection on it? In house paint. You can see it's got all tracking in it from the brush. The guy has brushed it off, so it's done all in one direction. But the problem with this is it's not automotive, mate. Oh, goodness, it's not automotive grade paint. It's just house paint, so we don't want that. The other thing to note on these is this little guy here. It's there for no apparent reason underneath, and I wonder what that was. It's invariably, on some models, they have a separator, a vapor separator, or an oil separator that sort of separates. I don't even know what it separates. Crankcase gases go into it, the air cleaner gases go into it. This has a pipe that goes into it as well that routes down through that hole. But on this local model, that of course is blocked off. There's no hose connection or union, and that would be replaced with the separator and held in with that retainer at the top. So the separator would normally go there. This doesn't have one, it's just got a blanking plate, but that's obviously a standardised part between here and most likely the US market, I would think. But that's something worthy of consideration. Now this unit still has its foam filter. This is the one off the dirty bike. I didn't get this plated on the off chance. That's a spark arrestor. On the off chance that got brittle and any broken bits got into the engine, that would be catastrophic. So I've left them the way they are. We're just going to clean them. And underneath, it all looks pretty good. That foam's still in good serviceable condition, so that's fine. So what we're aiming to do is we're aiming for this to look as good as some of this plated stuff when we're finished. And we'll clean up one or two bits. That's a shame about the overspray there. I think ultimately this is going to be a better way to go. It's in better nick than that thing. Carburetor wise, I've pulled the old one apart, bits of the old one off to get them plated. That's the old one there. Do not make the mistake I did. I drilled in there thinking that was a cap to get this slide out. The slide is only retained by the lever for the air slide. There's a screw that goes, and that's the only thing that retains it. So that was a boo-boo. That's ruined, although to reuse that's not a big deal. It's just a matter of putting a rivet in there or just blocking it up in some other way. But maybe a small screw, that'd be fine. So I've put bits and pieces back on that just to sort of reacquaint myself with it. I just sort of threw everything in a box and with the intention of using the best stuff that I got back. Right, so the best way of dealing with this is a toothbrush and some Morning Fresh. I'm going to take these parts in. That just unrolls. The best way to take this off is actually unroll it instead of trying to pull it. It'll need to be oiled again. And we'll take that little bloke, and this should probably be washed in solvent, but we'll have a go at that. We'll take that into the laundry and wash it with some soapy water and see what comes back. So take a look at it. I'm hoping for something better than that. Okay, back from my excursion from the laundry, or to the laundry. It actually did a pretty good job on my hands too, although that is ink. A pen let go while I was using it. Anyway, I gave that a wash. Some of this stuff we're going to have to use Prepsol. I didn't get in there. And some of this stuff here, might be able to go for the wax and grease remover. That looks pretty good. And that was just washed. This is the one with the overspray, which looks a lot better than the other. And there's the old one. Now, when you wash stuff like this, water has a way of making dirt go away until it dries and then it comes back. So some of this probably isn't done very well because I couldn't see. That's the little snorkel bit. Didn't even know that came off until I started cleaning it. And look at this. That's much better. You can see a couple of little remnants there. I can get rid of that. There's a couple in there too. It's almost like that red bull dust stuff. And you know what? Already, if you look at that, Says he. I'll tell you what, it's not as good as I hoped. But already it looks a lot better than this one. And that was the one that was painted. I mean, why would you? You can just use the original one. It's going to look better every time. So I'll put that away. That can go on the second bike as a winter project for next year, even though this is not winter. I guess some of this, I'm just going to go over here with some wax and grease. Couldn't get into some areas though with a toothbrush. And look, I missed bits and pieces like that, but that's all going to come off. I reckon it will anyway. Hang on a second, let me get a rag. Favourite colour is pink. It's not really green. I'm a sucker for green. I haven't got anything green. I've got no green clothes. I've got no green cars or anything like that. I'm thinking about painting the CB. The black CB I've got. I think I'm going to do that green. Dark metallic retro green. I reckon it'll look really good. So I'm going to dry this off. Probably just leave in the sun actually. And then I'm going to hit it with some Prepsol, some wax and grease. There is a bit of grot down there. But you know what? Clean's not really enough. When you've got everything that looks brand new, you want the whole thing to look brand new. And you can see there's already dusty stuff coming off that didn't come off before. It's just horrendous to get off this dust. It looks like that bull dust, that red stuff in Central Australia, and if you get that in your car, you can never get rid of it. So I'm just going to disappear for a minute, do this, and when we come back, hopefully we have something a little bit better. Oh, it's going to be right. It's going to be head and shoulders better than it was. Right, so it's not bad, but it's not great. We've got a lot of scratches, stuff like this where the dirt's actually sitting in the scratch. I've got a little bit of 400, and we're going to do it wet, just to try and iron the scratch out, which will keep the dirt from sitting in there. This is just water in this, is not kitchen spray. And what this will do is it'll dull off that immediate area, but it should make sure, it should be good in making sure that dirt can't sit in there. And look, we're essentially wet sanding an air cleaner, and this is never, or was never intended as being a high quality finished off part. It's just a plastic molded thing that was punched out of the factory. But you know, as I said, if we're going to make this thing look new, or as close to, that's good, they got rid of it I think. Then we need to do this sort of thing, you know, and get rid of just crap in the corners like that. You can see it releases quite easily. It's just, it gets in everywhere. So I'm still mucking around with that. I'll go and get a bit of 800 I think. Or is it that dry? You can't really see anything till it dries. This looks pretty crap in there. There's also a bunch of, there's a couple of scratches in the top. I noticed, oh, in the inside. There's a whole bunch of scratches here. It's scratched to the hilt. That's inside the air cleaner. It's probably not that important. But why don't we try and get those out too? And we might copper in. It's very soft plastic, so it's probably not going to react well to this. Well, I failed, and did I tell you I failed? I failed because when I used paper on this, the sand that had left a big grey mark. I wanted to get rid of some scratches, so I've had to paint it. So I guess the first thing we're going to do, I'll clean this up a little bit, is we'll put this little guy in here, which goes down the bottom, and there are two self-tappers somewhere that hold it on. Oh goodness me, I'm finding again. Where are they? Oh really? So I'm going to put this on, and this goes underneath a heat shield thing. Is that right there? Yep, okay. Come on, you get. I'm going to put this one in too. So that's the little thing that the slide goes against, and that holds your element in. The next thing is this. It goes that way. Yeah, I think. Yep, goes that way. So, where are my salt tappers? You've got to be kidding. I think I put them all back in the bag. I know they're quite long. Make sure they're not poking out. No, good as gold. Literally, get it? Gold. Right, so far so good, and more tea. It's actually really gross watching people drink tea because they sort of slurp it. I think this is the crank ventilator. Which way does this go? That's awfully cramped there, and there's a bracket that goes there, so I'm tipping. It either goes like that or like that. I'll dummy fit it in the bike and just see which way. Well, that faces forward. Actually, no, that faces forward. So the hose has to go like that. I'm tipping it goes like that. How often have I been wrong? Remember the plastic? Now, we've got a gasket, put a gasket there. Put that back over the gasket, and there's a little retainer ring and 3 machine screws, which are these little guys here. And then we put it, which way does that go? Which is in? Which is the flatter side? I'm going to put it that way. So we stick it in. Right. Now there's a few, make sure they're tight but not ridiculous. Good. Right. That was rather spiffy. Now, that rubber could be a bit cleaner, but anyway, whatever. What we'll do is these little compression things that stop the plastic getting destroyed by the speed nuts that go in there like that. I've forgotten some of the things that I need to know, and I don't rehearse anything on these, I just sort of do it. There's a bracket, I think it's this one, that goes between, turn this around, between that bit there and the frame. I think it goes in like that, but that just doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel right at all, so I could be wrong with this. It looks like a speed nut goes there. I have another speed nut here. I've just got to find out the compression gig, and maybe that goes like that. Hey, I need to look at the bike. I might dummy fit this to the bike now. Hey, what about that? I haven't put the elements in yet. It doesn't matter. I can do that later. I just want to hang this up where it was. I'm not going to tighten it, and I'll work out the element and the what do you call it, that bracket, really, that bracket, once I've got this back on the bench, because it's sort of at a more ergonomic height. It's also easier to show you what I'm talking about. So that can just sit there for now. It's out of harm's way, and I'll probably have to move those slots there, elongated, so it can move fore and aft a little bit, and that looks bloody good, so I'm happy with that. So now let's have a look at the carburetor. Right, we don't need that. That goes in the box. I missed the box. Do you believe that? Anyway, here's a good cubby, and this was probably also fairly good. I'm just going to pop that bowl back on. Actually, I'll start by taking that thing off, and the overflow, those can go, and I can put, I'm sort of doing this all a bit about face. There's loads of bits of plating and this sort of stuff I want to do on here, but I'm not going to do a whole pull it apart and blow passages out stuff, because it just doesn't need it. It ran very well very recently. So I'm going to pop that off, diaphragm cover, and there's a little spring, and I can just put this spring back in here with this diaphragm cover back on. There's a little O-ring there, which is that little guy. and just use his screws. And it's just so I don't forget what I'm doing, because I do forget. Ask my wife about our anniversary. I'm awful like that. Anyway, that's the fuel inlet. What was the other thing then? I just want to give that a quick visual. Actually, I'm going to change my glasses for my other ones. Okay. That's in really good nick. I think we'll just put you back where we found you, in there, with your spring and 2 new screws. There's a little spigot thing on the back of that housing. I'll just stick this on. This is really, it's almost free to do this stuff, it's so cheap. And it just separates it from being an ordinary bike to one that looks really good. It's already got a plated screw in there. What's on the other side of this thing? Oh, there's a little bracket that goes there, which is this bloke here. Is that right? Have I got that right? Yes, I do. And we stick a screw in. Probably should clean the body up first, but it's pretty clean anyhow. There we go. Okay. And that's the bracket for this little thing here. I might just give the outside, it doesn't even need, there's only a tiny bit of cleaning in there, but I'm taking that off anyhow. Okay, let's pop the bowl off. We'll use these screws to put that bowl back. And it just makes life so much easier doing it this way, because it's, I can see one, they're identical, and just do what I need to do. Haven't even bought a gasket kit for it. Not because I'm a miser, but because I just don't think it needs one. Look how bloody clean it is. It's absolutely mint. See, I'm not going to mess with that. Oh, it's got a hat there. That goes on there. And you know what? Now I remember that this one goes here. So, that's the old bowl. Even that's not too bad. A bit of that bulldust stuff in there. I reckon that's what it is. This thing went up the country, I reckon. Gasket's there, so I can just put this one back in here. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to blow through there. Just on the off chance, I'll be back in a sec. Just on the off chance there is any debris in there. All good. We went well. So this has a little cutout on the back of it, that little hat there, which faces back and gives room for that little tube. I might just, hang on, before we go any further, I've just got a bit of carby clean in there too, I think. Okay, we'll stick that back on. So I'm expecting very good things with this. And it's just another part, as I said before at the start of the video, you can do these sorts of things really easily and cheaply and get a great result. Now the only problem with this is if you decide to overhaul a part of your bike or car and you have to get plating done, if you take 3 bits in like this or 5 bits in like that, can we see that in frame up there? Just have a look over here. If you go in, that little lot there will cost you $60. If you take in a whole box of stuff, that'll also cost you $60 because they charge by the basket, you see. So, as sort of rough as that sounds, it's sort of how it is. I'm just going to grab a ruler and I'm going to make a measurement, or take a measurement, on our idle screw. And that is not, right on 10 millimeters. So, I'm going to back that out and take this out, and then we'll give it a clean. It feels really stiff to turn actually. Why is it so stiff? That's stiff. I might get some, see, we'll just hit it with this stuff, that'll squeak it up a bit. There we go, nice and easy. Temporary lubricant. I'll stick it in here on 10 millimeters so I know next time, because I might rebuild the other one next winter or do something like that. I'm not sure, I haven't made my mind up yet. But if I put this all back together, I'm not going to figure how it goes, there we go. With the same sort of measurements and everything, well then I don't think I'll have an issue with it. That's about it. Cool bananas. Alright, so we'll take this off and have a look inside. Okay, it's been put together wrong. That's one of the outside ones there. Okay, so this is going to slide out, and it's got a spring, and the spring wraps sort of around there, and the other side of it's underneath the body. So if I just pull that out gently, energize the spring, and it sort of divulges all this mess. And there's also a thrust washer, which is this bloke here. So let me put the other one together so I know exactly how it goes. Right, so I've given this a bit of a, whoa, I'm just wearing it, a bit of a hit with some cleaner. And I think that looks pretty dandy. Super duper. Cool. Excellent. Alright, so that will evaporate, which is what we want. And we can put this in with the spring, and the spring goes. The spring goes. The spring goes like that, I think. And it goes. Where's the spring? The spring goes. No, I can't remember.
Oh my God.
It goes. Just listen. The spring. The spring goes. Hang on. Where's that thrust washer? Maybe that was the thing I dropped, Rosie. Okay, I've dropped it. Hang on, I've got to find it. Daughter found it. Alright, so we put that in and we put this in. And that goes around the back of the housing. And get in there, you son of a gun. Alright, so that goes in there. It goes. Oh, Cleo, dry up. I'm going to keep that spring against there because that was a bit of a pig to get on last time. And then I'm going to put that over there, and then I'm going to swing this guy around, and that's how it goes. How dandy is that? So we can just push that in, get this little bloke in, and you might put the idle screw in. It'll hold it where I want it. And then that'll line up, and I can just put it together, and Bob's your uncle. Okie dokie, we're shooting for 10mm, and
Wait, who's this for?
and
Yeah, blood out of the boobies.
right. Alright, so beautiful. Are we shooting for 10mm still? Right on the money. Alright, so all we need to do now is put this on. No, we need to clean this up first. Hang on a minute. Alright, I said something off colour in form of an inappropriate joke to my daughter. And she's laughing, but I can't repeat it because we don't swear on this channel.
Really?
Even though I do swear, but then cut it out when I go to edit it. Right, so looking at this, oh no, we're not finished yet. We've just got to don't call me stupid.
No,
There's this little guy here, which goes something like that. Woohoo! And there's a countersunk screw, machine screw, pardon me, and we screw him up. You can't put Loctite on. Bike engines tend to vibrate. But I'm not going to. And there you go. Look at that. Doesn't it look absolutely splendid? So, that's what it would have looked like. Or what it did look like. I've just dropped something else. An air cleaner gasket. Save for these bits here. And I pulled them off and chucked them in case I needed the screws. But there you go. Look at the difference. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? So I'll put that down. We'll get the bike back up here and have another look at that air cleaner. These are the clamps. I actually thought it was for the gator, but it's not. For the air filter. I've just picked the best one. Because Can we even see what I'm doing? You can't even see what I'm doing, can you? Hang on, I'll move this chair. Just bear with me a minute because I've got the carburetor here. And so when we put that on, it will form the shape. But I can just sort of nip that up around it. And that'll pull the clamp into some sort of shape, even though we're not leaving the cubby there. But that way I just wanted to get it into a semi-round state. That's better. That can stay there now. This is the other one. It's a little bit pulled through and a bit mangy, but it was one of those things again where I just pulled off both from both bikes and had them both plated, so if this does resurface it'll be on the other engine. The bracket I'm talking about, that goes like that, and there's a 10 and a 12 mil shouldered bolt. The 10 will be in the frame, it doesn't have to reach as far, and the 12 will be on the case. Cool, that's solid. I'll just get a bit of rubber grease, whoops, and I'm just going to put it around just around this part of the air cleaner, just so that it slides into the rubber a bit better. It goes that way, and that should. Fighting this thing, there's two of these springs. This one has a plastic dipped coating on it, but it's worn off the edges, so I'm tipping that's going to peel off. I might just put this one on because it looks nicer, but I'm having a bit of trouble with this. It doesn't, it's not easily going in, which is a huge pain in the bottom. It's more or less there, and that clip goes in like that to hold it in place. It might go the other way. Hang on a minute, does it go this way? No, it doesn't, it goes this way. I think it does, but that's not quite there yet. I feel like I need to get a pick in there and just pull that rubber apart. And most of these are off the 750, but I think that one will do for the ventilator underneath, which is there, because we want the thing to look properly finished off. So we'll just thread it up. This is the old hose. I think it's painted. But if I come up with something better, then I shall use it. There we go. And we'll put that to the side so we can see it. Can we? Where's my forefinger? Yeah, you can see that. That's cool. So that's on. The side covers. I haven't done any body work yet on the bike. This is one of the old ones off the good bike, and it's been sort of rattle canned. You can see they don't look too good, but there's that gasket which I dropped before. I need to clean that and put that back in, and that forms part of the air cleaner lid, which will go like that and seal in there. And so of course we've got these. It's not that one, it's not that one, that'd be that one. So we've sort of got these different length screws which will, oh, just drop some wine, but it was my wife's, not mine, so it's all good. They'll go in there and retain it all. I've just got to make sure I get the right ones. I think that's that one there, and another short one there, is it? Maybe? Yeah, that's another shorty there. And that will seal it up properly for the bike when it's running. But we'll take this off because, well, they don't look as good as the rest of the bike. And get ready for closing comments, eh? Because I've done enough today. I don't feel like doing anymore. This is necessary, all this stuff, and you're refitting. So now I know that there's two shorts and a long. I didn't know that before. I just had a bunch of bolts that have got plated. So those do the left side of the bike. Parts wise, we've been very fortunate. I managed to find this new old stock chain guide in England. These are no longer available. Exceedingly hard to get, and I did pay good coin for it, but that's a new old stocker, so we can use that in this engine. The two I've got, one at a pinch you could use, but I didn't want to. I wanted a new one, and they're just so difficult to come by. Also, we've got front and rear, I beg your pardon, wheel bearings and gaiters, the new ones. The old ones were all right, but they wouldn't have cleaned up like newies. Need fork seals and what was the other thing I needed? Brake shoes, and get some spokes, and then at least after I've got all those, I can put all the front and rear wheel on, and it can roll around. But for now, I think that's enough. And look, thanks very much for watching. Have a quick look around. We can give it a nice rag off. If you see any horrible marks, it's because it's dirty, because my hands are dirty. But you can see, there's a blowfly in here. We've got all the rear suspension in. Let's go inside here a bit. Our new airbox. And springs, and that's the chain tensioner down here. You can see that there. That's cool. Moving to the side, kickstand's on, it works well. Engine mount bolt I've just got sitting there. That's our air cleaner, nice and close up, with the appropriate fitting at the bottom, which is down there. And look at that, I've got that the wrong way. How did I screw that up? Don't know, but that's wrong. So we're going to have to turn that around, because that takes the crankcase hose and drops it down in front of the swing arm, I think. So that's a bit disappointing. So that's all there. This is on, of course, that's just sitting there for the engine. They could be the wrong way around too. Cable guides, and of course we've got the head stem on, and the steering lock's all looking rather tasty as well. So we've got that, and also our carburetor now can sit in there and look just as lovely and spiffy as the rest of our bike. So thank you very, very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, enjoy classic, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.